Good morning. It's a beautiful summer day at Cedar Lane Unitarian Universalist Church. I'm Abhi Janamanchi. My pronouns are he and him, one of the ministers serving this religious community, and I welcome you to our worship this morning. It is wonderful to see you all, and it's especially great to see so many guests this morning. Welcome. Whoever you are, whomever you love, yes, let's give our guests a warm welcome. Whoever you are, whomever you love, whatever your beliefs, documentation status, gender identity, and disability, and wherever you are joining us from, across the D.C., Maryland, Virginia region, or from home, we welcome you to our worship this morning. Thank you for taking the time and taking the risk to show up here today. We're so glad to have you. If you're joining us for the first time and feel comfortable doing so, if you're in person, would you raise your hand so we may see you, recognize you, and welcome you? Welcome. Let's give our guests a warm Cedar Lane welcome. And we have a small gift for you. Those in person, thank you for joining us. And welcome to all those who are joining us online. And if you have a moment, please fill out the newcomer form that is being linked in the chat. We appreciate your sharing your information so we can be in touch with you. And if you've been attending for a while and are interested in becoming a part of our religious community, please reach out to our membership coordinator, Nicole Singer, who is here with us this morning. She is the one passing out those gifts. Thank you, Nicole. Our pastoral visitors are an extension of our caring ministry here at Cedar Lane. And Barbara Tomar is our pastoral visitor today. She's here. Thank you, Barbara, for your ministry. And we also have pastoral visitors online. If you'd like some time to check in, please seek out Barbara and our other pastoral visitors. And I have a few announcements. This morning, as you were walking in, you may have seen tables set up with all kinds of care things setting up right there, which is something we will be doing right after the service as we launch our toiletry kit assembly to help migrants who are being involuntarily bused to D.C. from the Southwest, from Texas and Arizona. All of us are invited to take a turn at the assembly line so we can get some urgently needed supplies that we can provide to them as they arrive at Union Station. They're arriving almost daily, and there's an urgent need for these supplies. So any way you are able to help us with this, we are deeply grateful. And so we hope to see you out there right after the service today. And then next Sunday is the question box service, which in our tradition is an opportunity for folks to ask questions to stump the minister. That's essentially how I interpret it because of the kind of questions that come my way. So if you have a burning question about Unitarian Universalism, the past, present, or future, its theology, how we are set up now to meet the times that we are in, any of those, we will be taking those questions from all of you next Sunday. So we'll have some cards for you to write out those questions, as well as sending a link for you this week in our e-news so you can email us some questions. So look forward to seeing you next week. We will also be blessing backpacks as we begin a new school year and a work year and all of that. So if you are in school or would like to have your work pack blessed, please bring your backpacks, all ages, not just ages, all ages of backpacks as well. So we hope to see you and your backpack next Sunday. And I would like to take a moment to extend a warm Cedar Lane welcome back to Andrew Batcher. Who is joining us again at Cedar Lane as our new social justice coordinator. Andrew, you may want to come up so we can see you on screen. There we go. This is all things that have changed since you were last here, Andrew. Andrew was our social justice coordinator from 2014 to 17, and now he works at the UU Congregation of Fairfax. And so we will be working together with Fairfax, and Andrew will be serving in this role at both congregations as part of the Potomac Partnership to deepen our connections and collaborations together. So we're really excited to have you join us, Andrew. Welcome. Thank you. And I extend a warm Cedar Lane welcome to our guest preacher this morning, Ebony Peace. Ebony is a lifelong UU who grew up at the Silver Spring UU Church and is a spiritual entrepreneur and a commissioned lay community minister who has two ministries, the Sunstone Chapel and Innovative Spirit. And she also has a Master of Arts in Leadership Studies from my alma mater, Meadville Lombard Theological School in Chicago. She completed her pastoral and congregational internship at All Souls Unitarian in Washington, D.C. last year as their first A. Powell Davies intern. And she focused on adult spiritual development, social justice, and worship arts. And Ebony is also a gifted preacher. She actually received the Outstanding Excellence in Preaching Award at commencement last May when I was there. So that got my attention, and so invited Ebony to join us for worship today. So welcome, Ebony. We're delighted to have you with us. As we enter this time of reflection and remembrance, connection, community, and celebration, we acknowledge that we gather as we have gathered for over 70 years as Cedar Lane Unitarian Universalist Church on the traditional lands of the Nacotchtank people, from which the name Anacostia is derived. They're part of the Piscataway group of tribes. We honor with gratitude the land and the people who have protected it through the generations. We gather in remembrance of those who were enslaved and worked this land without choice or reward. And we gather in gratitude for all who have gone before us, whose love, service, and sacrifice help create and sustain this, our beloved religious community. In this spirit, we gather. In this spirit, we begin. Let us now take a moment and greet our neighbors in person and online. Your gifts, whatever you discover them to be, can be used to bless or curse the world. The mind's power, the strength of the hands, the reaches of the heart, the gift of speaking, listening, imagining, seeing, waiting, any of these can serve to feed the hungry, bind up wounds, welcome the stranger, praise what is sacred, do the work of justice, or offer love. Any of these can draw down the prison door, hoard bread, abandon the poor, obscure what is holy, comply with injustice, or withhold love. You must answer this question: what will you do with your gifts? Choose to bless the world.
Good morning. I am Jessica Sawyer, the worship associate for today's service. My pronouns are she, her. As Usha Charya kindles the chalice, a symbol of our shared faith and gathered community, please share in the chat where you are lighting your chalice from. Please rise in body or in spirit to share the chalice lighting words. We kindle the chalice to symbolize our commitment to choose to bless the world. May our choice to bless the world be an act of recognition, a confession of surprise, a grateful acknowledgement that in the midst of a broken world, unspeakable beauty, grace, and mystery abide. May our choice to bless the world draw us into community, the endeavor shared, the heritage passed on, the companionship of struggle, the importance of keeping faith, the comfort of human friendship, the company of earth. May the flaming chalice remind us that none of us alone can save the world, but together, that is a possibility awaiting.
Good morning, or whatever time it is wherever you are in the world. This morning, I'd like to introduce a video by Arlo Lebowitz on how we can become happy. We'll reflect on an idea called Maslow's hierarchy of needs. It's sometimes called Maslow's pyramid. Some of you may have heard this before. Raise your hand if you have. Yeah? Okay. The idea is that we have basic needs. We need to breathe. We've got to eat. We need water. We need sleep. I know for me, if I don't sleep, it's really hard for me to do anything. When I'm hungry, I can't concentrate. The idea is that if we don't have these basic needs met, then they become the only thing we can think about. We become preoccupied with breathing, getting food, water, and sleep. In order to be happy, we need to not just meet our basic needs, we need to go beyond them. So I invite all of us, online and in person, to join us as we watch this video.
A question that has been asked since the dawn of man and answered by how do we become happy? A question that has been asked since the dawn of man, and answered by philosophers, gurus, and recently psychologists. One of them was Abraham Maslov, who formulated his hierarchy of needs, also known as Maslow's pyramid. What can we learn from this pyramid if we want to be happy? Maslow's pyramid is divided in 5 levels: physiological, safety, love and belonging, esteem, and self-actualization needs. Physiological needs are biological and physical requirements, like breathing, food, water, and sleep. When these needs are not fulfilled, they become the only thing we are preoccupied with. Safety needs are physical safety and needs for home, employment, income, and health. Without fulfillment of these needs, a person feels constantly insecure and unprotected. Love and belonging needs deal with our desires for good family relationships, friendships, and sexual intimacy. Without them, we might become depressed or experience loneliness. Esteem needs are needs like self-esteem, confidence, achievement, and respect by others. Self-actualization needs deal with creativity, spontaneity, and problem-solving. Self-actualizing people have a grounded sense of well-being and satisfaction, and a sense of awe, wonder, and gratitude about life. Maslow noted that his hierarchy is a general description. Levels are not fixed, and each need does not have to be fulfilled 100% to move to higher levels. So, how do we become happy? Maslow called the lower 4 levels deficiency needs. If we don't have them met, it influences our psychological health and obstructs our tendency for growth, autonomy, identity, and excellence. Fulfill your needs at all levels and become a truly happy person.
When we're preoccupied with basic needs, it means we can't put energy into growing, into helping those around us. We can't be good stewards of the earth if we can't breathe or if we're too hungry. It's important to take good care of ourselves. It's important to help each other meet our basic needs so we have the energy, the courage, and the focus to help our Cedar Lane community right here and the wider world. As long as there are others out there who can't meet their basic needs, they will struggle to reach their potential. They will have a hard time trying to live into their inherent worth and dignity. All of us here, we can change that. So let's help others be happy.
Please rise in body or in spirit to join me in singing hymn 1017. The lyrics will be on the screen. I hope you got your shakers ready too. We are living a new way. We are building a new way. We are building a new way, feeling stronger every day. We are building a new way. We are working our cry. Peace and freedom is our cry. Peace and freedom is our cry. Without peace, this world would die. Peace and freedom is our cry. One more time. We are building a new way. We are building a new way. We are building a new way. Feeling stronger every day. We are building a new way.
Let us center ourselves and enter into this moment, calling upon all the sources of love that are within, among, and around us. We gather in sacred space across time and space, a sanctuary amid the many challenges of life, a center from which we may gather strength to face these challenges with courage and hope, faith and love. Within our Cedar Lane community, we offer our congratulations and blessings to Bryden Geisler and Genevieve Wall, daughter of Anita Albertson and Tom Wall, on their wedding on August 13th. We hold in our hearts Candida, Matt, and Loli, who are caring for Candida's mother, Lucy, who is in treatment for ovarian cancer. Our caring extends beyond Cedar Lane to others whose lives are lost and whose lives are impacted by war, calamities, and the COVID-19 pandemic in our nation and in our world. May these friends of ours, our companions in the world, and all the joys and sorrows we hold in our hearts be held in the embrace of meditation and silence.
Let us continue to center ourselves, bringing our mind, body, and spirit into this space made sacred by our presence and the presence of the holy, known by many names and beyond naming. Wherever you are, I invite you to place your feet on the earth, if you can reach the earth. Close your eyes or lower your eyes and go deeper within that place of silence and honesty, compassion and courage. And as we go deeper within, let us begin with a deep breath. Let it come and let it go. Breathe in, breathe out. And as we feel the earth beneath us in this moment, let us arrive into our body more fully. Breathing in, breathing out. Breathing in, breathing out. Breathing in, I know I am breathing in. Breathing out, I know I am breathing out. Breathing in, I am calm. Breathing out, I am at ease. Breathing in, I smile. Breathing out, I release. Breathing in, I breathe in peace. Breathing out, I breathe out love. Breathe in, breathe out.
Breathe out. Breathe in. 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 Breathe
As we enter the silence together, those who are mourning a loss or marking the anniversary of a loss are invited to rise in body and or in spirit and share or speak the names into this sanctuary and in the chat. Let us enter the silence together. Rob Eller Isaacs. May it be so. Every Sunday, in our free religious tradition, we give and receive an offering. The offering is a celebration of the fact that a free religious community such as ours is supported and governed by the people, not the state or an ecclesiastical hierarchy. The offering is a voluntary act of commitment, the act of passing the plate, literally or symbolically, signifies a shared commitment to the mission and ministry of our religious community. Today, we share our offering with Women Who Care Ministries. Women Who Care Ministries is a community outreach nonprofit that is based here in Montgomery County. Founded in 2001, their primary mission is to help hurting people overcome, primarily through offering safety net services to those who are low income in our county, especially women and children, overcoming hunger, domestic violence, homelessness, and substance abuse. In our Time for All Ages, we heard about caring for one another, sharing what we have to give of ourselves beyond our basic needs to support the basic needs of others. The work of Women Who Care emphasizes that principle. And today is an opportunity for us to live into that. Its signature program is the Helping Kids Eat Backpack Weekend. Helping Kids Eat Backpack. Not eat the backpack, but I guess backpack. Anyway, you get the picture. It's a weekend meal program which provides non-perishable food items to low-income children each Friday to ensure that they're not going to go to bed hungry. So our gifts today will help feed more than 2,500 children and families this school year, friends. 2,500 children in our county, our affluent Montgomery County. So I invite us to support generously this important work of Women Who Care Ministries by texting 23256 CLUUC and the amount, or you may give online or on PayPal, QR code, mailing a check to Cedar Lane, or placing your gift in the offering plate that the ushers are about to bring forth. As the ushers come forward, our offering will now be given and gratefully received.
Moment of work is teachable. Low wages, no respect, no future. My prayer for you, reunited world from this Taiwan. My prayer for you, sacred gift given a precious ornament. My prayer for you, the thoughts of your existence connect to purpose. My prayer for you, joy ti. Los puntos de tu vida conectan un propósito. Mi plegaria por ti. Respira alegría, canta justicia, vive amor. En un viaje de loco, demasiado cansado para oponer resistencia. El mapa de tu corazón y tu espíritu te ruega que enciendas la luz. Y plegaria por ti, las palabras y las acciones son uno. Y plegaria por ti, se abre el don sagrado concedido al nacer. Y plegaria por ti, los puntos de tu vida conectan un propósito. Mi plegaria por ti. Respira alegría, canta justicia, vive amor.
That wonderful song that you just watched, I was asked to say, and I was going to be humble about it, but I was asked to say that, to share that I wrote that song, and it's performed by my friend and colleague Fabrizio. So it's just a delight to be able to share that with you today. Cedar Lane. What if we and the rest of our UU sibling congregations got rid of all the multiple justice-related committees in our congregations? The Cedar Lane Environmental Justice Ministry, and I heard a laugh over there, yeah, let's go for it. The Cedar Lane Environmental Justice Ministry, gone. The People of Color and Indigenous Group, the Immigrant Justice Ministry team, whatever we call them, what if we let them go? Why would we do that? What might it look like if we did? How would getting rid of our justice committees help make anything better? Are these not the kind of committees where most of our faithful, holy work gets done? As shared earlier, I'm a lifelong Unitarian Universalist. For my whole life, I've understood that what we want as a community of faith is peace on earth. We don't get to peace without justice. We don't get to justice without love. For us to have peace on earth, we need to embody love. When we put love into action, it looks like honoring the inherent worth and dignity of every person. It looks like dismantling racism and other forms of oppression. It looks like settling for nothing less than justice, equity, and compassion. Love in practice is acceptance of one another, encouragement, truth-finding, and truth-telling. It's democratic fairness and liberty. When we love, we hold sacred the interdependent web of all existence. What does loving ourselves have to do with getting rid of our many committees? Let's explore this. And most importantly, let's explore how can we best love ourselves from a perspective that relentlessly connects us with the divine. How can we fulfill our calling as a community, as a congregation? Once we've grounded ourselves in loving ourselves, then we peel back the layers and reflect on how we best love others, specifically within the congregations we are a part and the larger world community. So let's be clear that loving ourselves is taking care of ourselves. I have seen and felt that one of the best ways to take care of ourselves and love ourselves is to follow our calling. Do what we've been put on this earth to do. In the context that I work, I view our calling as the work of our life's purpose. For others, they might call it their authentic vocation. Some fulfill what they're called to do through paid employment, while others live into their callings without financial compensation. This is true for many of our congregations. At a congregational level, we too have a congregational calling. What is our congregation called to do? What is Cedar Lane's purpose? Challenges come when we and other UU congregations try to be the wrong thing or too many things and not what we have been called to do. The entire world needs saving, but as a single congregation within the larger web, we are meant to make a big impact with a small focus. Instead, we often try to be and do more than our humble budget and small-sized congregations can manage. Caring for ourselves, loving ourselves, means answering our call. I say answer because it indeed calls to us. It sings. For some, we just feel it in our bones. For others, we've put on earmuffs on because someone told us that beautiful song. They told us that beautiful song, listening to it is irresponsible, it's not realistic, that it's ridiculous. Some taught us to fear that beautiful tune. Some of us who feel our call in our bones ignore it because we are so convinced that our feelings don't matter. Our calling is our unique purpose. When we follow our calling, the universe, in its gratitude for us finally accepting our call, gives us what we need to thrive. This includes clarity and financial abundance. Imagine what we could do with more income. Imagine the freedom and the self-determination we can lean into. Imagine the opportunities that could be brought to Cedar Lane to deepen its spiritual growth. Imagine community causes you could bless. When we follow our call, we do work that's meaningful, fulfilling, and serves others. We make the contribution we've been put on this earth to make. Doing what we've been called to do isn't always clear-cut. We may confuse our calling with doing something great. It's not always the same thing. Another point is what we've been called to do at this moment may be different 6 months from now. To know the call of the moment means always listening, always feeling, always discerning. We all benefit when we each connect to our purpose, which connects us to the divine within us. The Gospel of Thomas, verse 70 reads as follows. If you bring forth what is within you, what you bring forth will save you. If you do not bring forth what is within you, what you do not bring forth will destroy you. I understand this to mean that doing the work of our life's purpose is life-saving. It brings the deepest kind of joy. Not following our call causes us and our communities to suffer. We see the suffering around us. People destroyed and exploited. They have no room in their lives to think about, must less follow their divine given calling. My lived experience has shown me that when we do not follow our calling, we merely exist. We don't live. The Gospel of Thomas reminds us of this spiritual law. Whether we're an individual or a congregation, it's our duty to follow our calling, to love ourselves. Following our calling is the epitome of love. It's the way we say thank you and show our gratitude to the Spirit. Following our calling is the way we accept and embrace our interconnectedness, the way we show love. I believe in a type of heaven on earth where everyone has the freedom because of their inherent worth and dignity. It's respected, where the earth is overrun with joy, inspiration, and love. We stop fighting each other, stop mistreating each other. We start loving each other. Abraham Maslow, he's the author of one of the world's best-known theories on motivation. He has this 5-tier model of human needs that we saw in the video earlier, and at the bottom are the basic physical needs. Then, once these needs are met, we're motivated by safety needs, which include things such as personal security, employment, health. When we get to higher level needs, such as love, belonging, and the feeling of being appreciated, at the very top is then self-actualization. Self-actualization is the desire to reach our potential, live our dreams, and follow our passions. We will find that our calling fulfills these top 3 tiers because they include connection, freedom, and self-esteem and joy. What is unacceptable is how many of our population do not have their basic physical needs met. They are food insecure, unhoused, unemployed, and unable to get the health care they need. In our oppressive capitalistic society, living into our calling has become a luxury. Our calling is not a specific job title, but a specific type of service that can be expressed in any variety of positions. There are dozens of ways we can live into our calling. We only have to open our minds and step into the many possibilities. Or do we? Is it so easy? It is not. When we follow our calling, we follow through with our purpose using the gifts we were born with. These gifts are our strengths. The way our society is socialized, especially for our most vulnerable, makes it difficult, if not impossible, for them to live into their calling. Many of us are walking around with divinely held gifts we're too afraid to open. Consider that the biggest barrier to living into our calling for most is the world of work. I believe most workers are being exploited. Maggie Lewantaskowska, she's a scholar born in Ukraine. She writes that she prefers using the term exploitation over burnout because, and I quote, burnout makes it about workers' feelings. Exploitation draws out attention to employer practices and policies which require structural solutions, end quote. Research studies from the Harvard Business Review revealed that millennials are workaholics, forfeiting vacations at a much higher rate than previous generations. A different survey drawn by Project Time Off found millennials are also more likely to make fun of colleagues who take vacation. These are the same millennials we would love to have in our congregations. Yet they are overworked and seem to have little time for multiple church meetings or 3-year committee term commitments. They seem trapped in the rat race. As a Black woman, my ancestors were intact and enslaved by greedy, merciless people. Exploited in body, mind, and spirit. These physical chains came off. Replaced were invisible chains in their hearts and minds This caused some to remain on the plantations, even when presented with opportunities to escape. Some enslaved felt their abusers were doing them a favor for enslaving them. Some believed the risk of escaping was too high. They felt trapped. They were enslaved because of economic greed. Where is the line between an employer and an oppressor? How many workers feel grateful to have a job even when it doesn't provide for their basic needs? How many feel afraid and trapped at the mercy of their employers? Not all employers are terrible. One outlier, a CEO named Dan Price of Gravity Payments, is often cited as a model for economic justice at work. He's on social media every day advocating for workplace justice. He has a values-based philosophy, which translated into launching a $70,000 minimum wage at his company. This resulted in tripling their revenue. So you can make money while treating people with dignity. There are other CEOs who have very different opinions on how much their employees should earn and who should foot that bill. The Government Accountability Office undertook a study revealing approximately 70% of adult wage earners in federal aid programs, such as Medicaid and food stamps, worked full-time hours. It found many recipients are employed by large, profitable companies such as Walmart, McDonald's, Dollar Tree, Amazon. In short, we taxpayers are subsidizing the livelihoods of many full-time workers because we allow companies to pay less than a living wage. The worker is being exploited. Taxpayers are being exploited. In our Unitarian Universalist culture, we focus on racial justice. Yet, for example, studies by the Liberal Economic Policy Institute and the Social Mobility Commission continue to find that social class as a more likely determinant of success outcomes than race or merit. These findings seem to suggest that money makes the world go round, not necessarily race. Consider that the root of oppression is economic superiority first, and everything else is a secondary, devastating symptom. With money comes the ability to control, which cycles back to enable the ability to generate more wealth. The root of slavery was about wealth. Reproductive rights are about wealth and control. Immigration is about wealth and control. Criminal justice and voting rights are about wealth and control. All of this falls under the umbrella of economic justice. Though control and fear, many of us, or those we care about, are left with little more than the ability to live day to day. The system is designed to keep us from our calling because our calling is empowering. Our calling gives us courageous faith to journey through the fear. Our calling helps us get out of the rat race. We as individuals are in the rat race. We as congregations are in the rat race. This exhausting, competitive daily routine filled with scarcity mindsets and financial struggle. We must deliberately exit out in order to follow our calling. Fighting for economic justice is a spiritual imperative. I will say that again. Fighting for economic justice is a spiritual imperative. There is no expression of inherent worth and dignity when economic exploitation is present. Though it starts with economic injustice, it doesn't mean race doesn't matter, because it does. Black people have it particularly hard. We know why. I learned recently that there's this whole book on the phenomena called the black tax. The Cost of Being Black in America by Sean D. Rochester. In short, the black tax reminds us of the financial cost of systemic racism, culture, and family obligations that make it difficult for black people to generate wealth. In the workplace, many experience fear, intimidation, and mistreatment. As a faith community, this should not be happening under our watch. Let's take a lesson from our siblings in faith, the Catholics. They believe it's a spiritual duty to end labor exploitation. For example, the Catholics have, or at least they had, an impressive role called labor priest. The two most notable were John Ryan and Francis Haas. They, as described in the Catholic University archives, and I quote, advocated for collective bargaining rights into the 1930s New Deal out of their convictions that just labor laws were at the heart of Catholic social teaching. These labor priests had educational backgrounds in social science, moral theology, and ethics, end quote. They served as Department of Labor mediators, helping to settle over 500 labor strikes. John Ryan also did extensive research into living wage issues, worker rights, and employer-employee obligations. These two are the epitome of community ministers. I imagine these labor priests took note from the Bible, where it reminds us not to forsake our divine given gifts, our holy gifts which we use to follow our call. Matthew 7:6 says, "Give not that which is holy unto the dogs, neither cast ye your pearls before swine, lest they trample them under their feet and turn again and rend you." I may not know exactly what your purpose is, each and every one of you, but I know with certainty what it is not. Our purpose is not to suffer and be exploited. Our purpose is not to sit back and watch others experience unethical labor practices. Our purpose is not to give the best of our spirits to workplaces that forsake us. It is not to give our soul to those who do not deserve it. To do so is unholy. I am inspired by these labor priests. Focusing our efforts on economic justice can give us the most return when it comes to our spiritual energy and the efforts of our hearts. I am not a minister, and yet I have a ministry. In the tradition of labor priests, with my background as a clinical sociologist and human resources consultant, I spend much of my spiritual energy ministering to those seeking to live into their divine given calling. Much of my sociological practice has been in career consulting and organizational development. I'm also a believer in systems theory. I've come to reflect on my own theoretical model of how we might be spiritually grounded within the holy work we do. This model is a practical template for how we might love ourselves by taking care of ourselves, love our congregations by taking care of our congregations, specifically toward efficiency, engagement, and community building as we take action to change the world. So let's circle back. Let's imagine doing away with all of the justice-related committees in our congregation. Why? Why should we do that? As a faith, we are trying new things in outdated old structures and wonder why it seems so hard to make positive change. In our small, intimate, and heavily siloed committees, we serve ourselves and offer a few good tidings to the world. And with silos removed, we could serve more deeply, be better stewards of our time, money, and energy, make a bigger impact. We believe we are interconnected, but in practice, in our communities, in our congregations, we are disconnected. A committee here, a committee there, we become defined by the committees we are a part of instead of the whole, instead of our faith. In the book, Justice on Earth, People of Faith Working at the Intersections of Race, Class, and the Environment, Pamela Spar writes, and this is a book published by Skinner House Books, our UU publication branch. Pamela Spar writes, "We often operate in narrow silos of particular interest, both within our congregations and in national organizations. Those who work on environmental or climate issues don't talk with those interested in racial justice or who work on affordable housing or mass incarceration. The group interested in economic justice issues is in its own corner, and the people who care about multiple issues get burned out, going to so many meetings. This siloed situation has to change if we are to preserve our sanity and health and maximize our effectiveness." End quote. Many of the scholars of our faith agree we must apply intersectionality. However, most stop short of providing a concrete model of what this looks like in practice. We are reminded of why we should do intersectionality without the how. I invite you to explore practical solutions, and I'll share mine. One Justice Committee, one. Let's call it the Justice Committee. This one committee will have multiple subcommittee teams. Each team would focus on an area that would have traditionally been its own committee, if not for this model. By collaborating as a web of subcommittees, we reduce the burden on its leaders and members. They meet together, one meeting, yes, one meeting, then caucus in their subcommittee teams during the meeting. They come back and report out. Everyone knows what everyone else is doing and why. Subcommittee teams take notes, and they are accessible to everyone. With this model, we shift committee justice work to spiritual practice. We respect time. We respect transparency. Information is accessible to all. We practice that we are interconnected, and that it's not just about our interconnectedness as individuals with the wider world, but us within our congregations. How we structure our committees is an expression of our faith. Even the 8th principle calls us into accountability for our structures. Here's an opportunity. This structure is about deepening adult faith engagement and the theological voice of its committee members, strengthening communication, removing inefficiencies, to be more effective at not so much ministering to each other, but with the express purpose of ministering to the world. The leaders of this one committee energize and facilitate, remind and teach us how to live into our justice work through a spiritual lens. That is their role. Multiple branch chiefs head each subcommittee team. There are no committee term length requirements. Members can effortlessly flow from one subcommittee to another. This structure supports our new goals and the new way in which we want to be in community with each other. This addresses pain points, too many meetings, silos, and lackluster volunteer engagement. Melissa Fleur Bixler, she's the pastor of Relay Mennonite Church, explains in her article, Capitalism is killing the small church. That's the name of the article. She says that she does not believe the decline of the small church is because there are not enough programs for young people, or that people are too busy and don't care about religion, or that they're self-absorbed. She thinks congregants are exhausted. She says, and I quote, "My parishioners scrounge for health care, drown in student debt, and create spreadsheets of daycare costs to see whether they can afford to have children. This economic system is not one from which my congregants can extract themselves. It is a force that controls their lives." The small church, and most UU congregations are fairly small, cannot sustain multiple meetings, multiple committees, and less support. The system, our structures must change for us to thrive into the future. In this model, what I call the Beloved Community Committee Model, or BCC for short, there is one strong, sustainable, vibrant tree with many branches. It grows fruit, which nourishes the children and youth. It provides shade to those who need it. For us to have peace on earth, we need to embody love. Focusing on economic justice can help us reach the peace on earth we seek as individuals and as a congregation. We put love in action on the individual level when we get out of the rat race and live into our calling. We put love in action when we nourish beloved community and break down silos in our congregations. Our congregations and communities have callings. The BCC model gives us a new structure that flows with, not against, our current realities. It enables us to discover and live into our calling as congregation and as community. It enables us to dismantle our oppressive structures that no longer serve us. By opening our divine-given gifts, we love ourselves. Once we love ourselves, we are better prepared to love our neighbor, our faith community, the world. May it be so.
Please rise in body or spirit and join me in singing As Tranquil Streams, hymn 145 in your gray hymnal. The lyrics will be on the screen.
Before we actually sing, I'm glad that you all are standing as able. I want us to read through verse 1 and verse 4 in response to the message we just heard. Together, let us say, as tranquil streams that meet and merge and flow as one to seek the sea, our kindred hearts and minds unite to build a church that shall be free. And verse 4, prophetic church, the future waits your liberating ministry. Go forward in the power of love, proclaim the truth that makes us free. Now, I know I am not perfect, and when I hear a message like that, I have to close my eyes and ask myself a few questions. So I hope you all will do this with me. Close your eyes. And in response to what we just read together and the message we just heard, the first question I ask myself is, am I ready for change or willing to accept change that may need to come? The next question is, if that change comes, can I accept that I may not be comfortable, but it may be for a better good, and that I can be okay with that? And then the last question I ask myself, how can I be a part of that? How can I be a part of a prophetic church with liberating ministry? And how can I go forward in the world in power of love, proclaiming the truth that makes us free? What does that look like? What does it feel like? What is my part in that? Now I ask you to ponder those thoughts as we sing hymn 145.
These words by Shirley Chisholm, the first black woman elected to the United States Congress. I quote, "We don't make progress by standing on the sidelines, whimpering and complaining. We make progress by implementing ideas." End quote. This is the day for the implementation of holy work and a deepening of beloved community. Let us be faithful stewards of the work ahead. May the Spirit give you peace. May we practice love. Amen.
Amen.